There are few people in our lives that make a bigger impact on us than our mothers. And today, we're going to be talking about ways to honor Mom on Mother's Day. Keep watching. Hi, it's Donna Robertson with Fabric Cafe, and today we have something that's really near and dear to my heart. I had an awesome mother, and I want to honor her today by showing you a quilt that we picked out for her, even though she is no longer with us on this earth. And we have a great show lined up for you. We have invited any of our employees to pick out a quilt and come and share with you little stories about their mother and what they're going to be making for their mom. And if you don't have time to sew or you just enjoy looking at pretty quilts, you'll want to stay to the very end because we have something special for you who don't want to actually make a quilt for your mom. We have another idea for you. So let's start off by talking about my mother. My mother attended a rather small church, and they didn't have a lot of money for extravagant altar flowers, but Mom always had gardens, and she always had pretty flowers, and she was very creative in that area. I was amazed when she started, when she volunteered to do the altar flowers for her church. And she would come up with the most interesting designs. I mean, she was truly a floral artist. I just thought she was a great gardener, but she was a great floral artist. And I can even remember one time when it was in the spring and the flowers weren't all that prolific yet. And I went over to her house on a Friday, and she was starting to work on her flowers, and she had picked garlic blooms. Now, if you've never seen a garlic bloom, they are beautiful. And I was just amazed at how she utilized it. Well, she said, well, that's all I had this week, so I had to utilize those. So she was very creative. And it's kind of a funny story to think about the garlic, but hey, it's a healing herb, so there. So let's look at the quilt I picked for Mom. Now, this one is called Crossroads, and Crossroads is one of my favorite quilts, but it also is great for showing off the floral. And I love the way this is centered on the quilt so that you've got your little stepping stones going. So it's kind of like a garden where you'd have different side stones that you would step on in the garden while you're walking around the florals. So let's look and see at the flowers that I picked for Mom. So kind of a nice little point there that she picked flowers for her church altar, and I've picked out flowers for her. And this kind of reminds me of Mom's garden. It's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous flowers. And these will go in the number 1 spot of your quilt. And then you take that away and you pick the next two by picking the number 2 fabric is the lightest and the number 3 fabric is the darkest. And this one really picks up, look at those great colors, the way it's picking it up in the florals. So this one is for my mom, Gladys Jones, a wonderful mother, reared 5 children, and we all love her with all our heart. So this is Blessed Blooms 8022-136. Crossroads is your pattern from the book Quilts in a Jiffy. It is only available there, so we're going to give you an alternate pattern that you could use to make a quilt with this fabric, and it is Gallery. And Gallery is an individual pattern. You'll get it free with the kit if that's what you choose. Just let us know in the comments if you would rather do a book with 3 kits or just your single pattern. Now, next up, I get to hear what my daughter Fran picked because she is going to do the Mother's Day quilt for me. So let's go get Fran. Hey, Fran, I'm so excited.
I know.
I can't wait to see what you picked out.
Happy Mother's Day, and happy Mother's Day to everyone out there that's a mom. You are
Thank you.
so appreciated, and you do such a good job.
Well, I really enjoyed being a mother. I have to say that.
Oh, well, this was fun. I enjoyed picking out a quilt for you.
All right. Well, hurry up. I want
Okay,
to see.
okay. I know it's a surprise. Okay, so first we're going to see the pattern that I chose, and what I chose was Jigsaw, and it's going to make a little bit more sense when you see the fabric, but I chose Jigsaw because the fabric that I chose doesn't have a large focus print, kind of like some of our kits do. So I thought that this was really good because it would give a little bit of flow to the quilt. And also I chose it because to me, once I see it in the fabric, it kind of looks like waves on a beach. And that's what I was thinking. So as it comes up on the sand, that's kind of what this looks like. So let's check out the fabric and show Mom.
Well, you had me at waves on the beach. That's great.
So I kind of, whenever I picked this fabric, and Hannah, can we see the fabric?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So what I chose to do is pick something out that was a little beachy themed, and I know that you have a lake house and that you have all these wonderful blues and greens in there. It's very bright and light and airy, and I thought this would look really, really pretty.
Perfect colors. Thank you.
So what I did is for number 1, I chose this because I kind of think it mimicked the little cresting waves, and that would be in your number 1 slot over here. So all of that blue and green will be where you see the red. So that would make a nice trailing wave there. And then our number 2 fabric, and I think that coordinates so well.
Pretty.
So now this kind of reminds me of the elephant ears on your lakeshore.
Yes, they do. I was just thinking, wow. Absolutely.
So this will go in the number 2 spot here, and that will be a nice break so that whenever we put in your number 3, which is on the dark blue, that's going to give you a nice separation and once again that wave look, I think. And I just love how gorgeous these are together. It is so, so pretty. So the kit number on this one is 8022137, and I've called it By the Sea. It's called Jigsaw is the pattern, and it is available in modern views or as an individual pattern.
I love it. I will be sitting on my Chase lounge with this over my lap, watching the waves. And believe it or not, some lakes do have waves, especially whenever you have wind blowing. So it doesn't come in like the ocean, but it's gorgeous. Thank you, Fran. That was so sweet. Okay, well, guess what? I believe your brother is next.
Oh, can't wait to see.
It's great having 2 children in this business. All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
John, I'm so excited. I have to tell you, I loved Fran's kit.
Yeah.
But I'm anxious to see what you are doing.
Well, moms are such a special person and everything in our lives, and we all have one. And for me, it's just like being able to work with you every day and spend time a whole lot together because we're running the business here. We're picking out fabrics and just having a great time doing all of this work. Why not come up with a really cool kit that just describes how I think about you?
Awesome.
So let's get started with that. And so I've picked Sweet Times, and I love this one so much because it's got this one big focus fabric in it, and then it's got 2 different colors of sashing around that big block. So it works really great to be able to have one of the fabrics really stand out on this. And I've actually used this one on a kit that I've got, or a pattern that I have hanging in my office, and so it's a great one. So let's put that up there and let's look at the fabrics on this.
Okay.
I know what you like. Obviously, you're always saying that you love greens. And secondarily, you're always talking about how you love having words on your quilts. In fact, several of your fabric lines have had words in them.
That's right.
And, not to get all gushy and mushy here, but, this one is great because it has the words on it. You are loved, you are cherished.
Oh, my gosh.
And so whenever I saw the words on this, I just was going like, this is Mom.
Oh.
And the best part is it's all green. So let's look at how all this one's going to go together. So because the words are so important on this for me describing a kit for you, we're going to have those words in the big block out here. So we're going to have a really big block of that so you can see that you are loved and cherished and all of that. So that's great from that. And then, we've got the great matcher here of this kind of almost this floral, almost a seashell-y kind of a thing. And I know how much you enjoy the lake and the ocean and things like that. I'm doing good here, aren't I?
You are doing good.
And so we've got that in here. That's going to be one of our borders out here around all of the words that we have. And then, of course, we couldn't resist having some little hearts in there to show more of that love. So, this is just how I think that would be a great way to say Happy Mother's Day to you.
Oh, John, that's so special. I'm kind of like having to bat my eyes.
So
it's really
did I beat
nice.
Fran on that one?
Well, I'm not going to compete you against your sister, but I knew both of you would come up with great ones.
We had some great stories with all of this.
Thank you.
Let me give you the kit numbers on this. It's going to be 8022138. It's called Cherished and Loved. And we're using that Sweet Time pattern. It's also available from Easy Peasy. So happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, John. That was very, very special. And I don't know if you could just say any one of these great kids would outbeat the other one for telling me they love me. But next up, we have Donna Holmes, and she's going to tell you about her mom. Hi, Donna.
Hi, Donna.
Meet Donna Holmes. We have funny stories about having two Donnas in the office, but Donna does answer the phone. She's told me a few little things about how customers react.
They do. I never say my name on the phone unless they ask, and then I always tell them I'm the other Donna. So it's just always kind of fun. We do that. Yeah.
And Donna and I met
a year ago.
That's right. So it's real close to her first anniversary. Oh, you passed your first
anniversary. Passed it.
Yes. She just passed her first anniversary with Fabric Cafe. Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to be continuing our discussions about our awesome mothers. Would you like to tell us a little about your mom?
Yes. So quilting is something that I started back in '98, but my mom is a quilter.
Oh.
And when we were talking about this show, I thought, you know what? My grandma was a quilter as well. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit of lineage there, and we all have our differences in how we quilt, and things have changed just a bit. Since my grandma was quilting. But so I was wondering, I have a really fun quilt that my mother made. Mm-hmm. Can I show you?
Absolutely.
All right.
Oh, let's see.
Let me show you.
Cool.
Okay, so this is a quilt top that my grandmother made. And the unique thing about this is that she never finished the quilt top, which was somewhat typical of her. But my mother took it and she finished it, and my mom quilted it. And both my mom and grandma and myself were all hand quilters. So my mother hand quilted this quilt. I'll show you some fun, unique things about that quilt.
It's really neat to see the things like that. I know my mother was not a quilter, but my great aunt was a quilter, so we have some of those in our family.
Some fun things to look at. So, Dawn, I know you're a quilt pattern designer, and well, this has no quilt pattern to it. It is, my grandmother was very much of a, well, we would call her recycler now.
Yes.
But she did not waste anything. And so you'll notice, and when my mom was telling me about it, some of these were some of their clothes, little scraps and pieces, and as you can tell,
she would a little piece there.
Yes.
And this is even pieced.
Yeah.
This is piece to that piece.
Well, and this tiny piece.
Oh, wow.
Is pieced to this one and this one and this one.
Oh, wow.
So they're all different pieces, and I've even found some, this one just looks faded here, but I have found some, and there's a little tiny piece right there. I have found some where it's the back side of the...
I think that's the back side of
this. It could.
I think it is.
It's not the first one I've found like that in there.
Do you think it was paper pieced?
It could have been, because my mom did mention my grandma using newspaper.
Okay.
And
it looks
doing
like
some
it might
paper piecing, so she may have. And, I did have to call my mom to get some facts yesterday to make sure I was going to tell this correctly. But we could not quite remember if it was machine or hand pieced. It could have been either way. It looks hand pieced. I'm thinking it could have been. My mom was like, just kind of pull some seams apart and see if you can,
Well, you don't really even have to pull them. If you just kind of pull them, just kind of spread it a little bit, and you can see that they are about that same length, maybe just slightly smaller.
Right. And my mom did all the hand quilting on, and sometimes it's kind of fun to look at the back. So she did create a couple different patterns on there as well.
That's great.
And she did add the border, because I told her, I said, I didn't think that fabric quite was the same. And she said, no, she kind of remembered this one. I know it's kind of up a bit, Justin, I'm sorry, but look at this block right here. There is so many different pieces to that it's really kind of fun. And I think it's just interesting.
Look how she did the, I call it a buttonhole stitch on the edge to put the binding down. I think that's really cool too.
Yeah, so for myself, this is something that my grandmother made the top, my mom hand quilted, and it was given to me. So it's very generational, but this is kind of my inspiration for my kit for my mom.
Okay, well tell us about your mom's kit.
Okay, well this pattern here is corner play, and the reason why I picked it is because this happens to be one of my favorite patterns. So yeah, it's not, you know, it's more about my favorite pick rather than my mom, but she would say that's typical. But I really like the corner plate. I just like the play of your focus and your number 2 and your number 3 on there in that blend. Can I show you the fabrics?
Absolutely.
We'll put that down. We'll take a look at that. So since we are a family of quilters and sewing, I chose these fabrics because I thought it was really kind of fun with the spools. And these are wooden spools, which you don't see very often anymore.
Well, I did inherit my grandmother's, all of my grandmother's crafty things. Like,
did you?
And it had wooden spools. I got her tatting shuttle. I was starting to call it the wrong thing. A tatting shuttle. And I tried really hard to learn tatting, but it's the one needle craft I did not conquer.
Yeah, that wouldn't be me either. So this is going to be my focus one here, and since you designed this, I'm going to let you help me make sure we're going to put these in the right places.
Okay. This is the number 1 fabric, and this, even though it's dark, I chose it for the number 1 because it's the largest
It really
print.
pops it out there, so I really like that too. It's so pretty. And then here's our number 2, which this kind of looks a lot like buttons. And my grandma had a button box, and I used to always go in and I'd play with all her fabric scraps and her buttons because of I would dream of. I kind of wanted to be a designer myself, but more apparel. Barbie size. So I was trying to design for Barbie out of Grandma's box of randomness. So this is going to be our number 2, which I think will be a great backdrop for the spools. And then I wanted to bring in just a blend of kind of this, it's almost a reddish orange.
Yeah, it matches those threads. Look at this. It matches that thread really nicely.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good pop for that too. So this is what I chose for my mom, and my mom also was a garment sewer. So I grew up with all my clothes were made by my mom, and of course, as a young girl, I was like, someday I really would like something store-bought.
Now, here's my funny story about my mom. My mom, when I was 10, bought a sewing machine and brought it home. She had become a single mother of 5 children, and there were 3 girls, and she brought the machine home, and I was the youngest girl, and she said, you girls need to learn how to sew and make your own clothes. And my sisters, but they thought I was too young, so I made Barbie clothes. But my sisters did start sewing, and they made their clothes for school and everything, and I just couldn't stand it anymore. So by the time I was 11, I made my own Easter dress.
Well, there you go.
And it is Easter time, so we'll talk about that.
Right,
Yes,
that would have been perfect. So you watching out there, you're really lucky that we don't design Barbie clothes and we design clothes at Fabric Cafe, because that probably would have been our second love.
Right.
So for this quilt kit, I decided to call it Generations.
Oh, great.
And it's a corner play pattern, and it's 802-2139. And yeah, so this is in honor of my mom and my grandmother.
Well, Donna, thank you so much for joining us today. This was so interesting. I really enjoyed it. And if you'll keep watching, we'll see who's up next. Hannah.
Hi.
I'm so glad you joined us for this.
Thank you.
Are you excited to share your quilt?
I am excited. I'm excited to show the talk about the memories that I got whenever I found this fabric. I just saw it on the wall and I was like, that is my mom.
Oh, awesome.
And so,
well, tell us a little bit about your mom.
All right. Well, my mom is a teacher and she does reading and writing. She works with kids on a more one-on-one basis and helping them if they need a little extra help with their reading and writing and tutoring and stuff.
Oh,
so
that's
she's been
great.
doing that for a while. She's awesome. She raised 5 of us, so...
And they're all awesome.
Thank you. She did a good job.
She did a really good job. And I've met Hannah's mother, and she's just a sweetheart. And she is a good cook.
Yes, that is true. My mom is a very good cook.
Yeah.
I always look, we have Sunday lunches every week with my whole family because a fair chunk of us still live in the area. So we get together and we have family meals, and they're always delicious.
Well, I was really impressed whenever I came over because she also has an awesome garden. I mean, an enviable garden.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still envying her garden.
That's honestly, it's been really great for all of us since she got that garden because we'll go over on Sundays and she'll say, okay, who wants kale this week? Or who wants cucumbers? And so I can get fresh garden produce right there for my week, which is nice.
That is awesome.
Some
Well,
little
tell us
spoils.
what you've picked out for your mom.
Okay, so I picked the Pinwheel +1 kit or quilts, and it'll make much more sense when you see the quilt too. It will fit perfectly in this with the nice block and all of this nice movement right here. So let's get to it, and I'll show you what I picked.
This is so cute.
Thank you. So I chose a Christmas fabric because I love all of these little snowmen. And when I was growing up, my mom would get these snowmen come Christmas, and it was just these cute little figurines. They were all in the same, I think, series, or the same person made them, same artist. And every year she would add 1 or 2 to the collection, and they would go on our windowsills, and they were always one of my favorite parts to put out for decorating at Christmas time because it was so fun because you'd have the snowman who was ice skating or
How fun.
things like that. So this made me think of her because it's kind of the same art style as these, you know, like chunky little snowmen with cute hats and stuff. So this definitely made me think of my mom. So this will go in your big block right here so you can get a lot of the snowmen. And then I love this movement right here. So you'll have these snowflakes which match. They've got multiple colors in it so you can see
That's neat.
matches their clothes and all that kind of stuff. And actually, it has a little touch of metallic in it too.
Oh.
Both in, you have it in these little snowflakes, and then there's these little stars.
Oh, cool.
And then for your third, which will go in your red and your border here, is a red with a gold metallic dot too.
That is fun.
So kind of like their buttons, I guess.
Yeah, that'll be really cool.
Yeah.
And it's neat. She'll have a quilt, jump on a quilt for Christmas.
Yes. Yeah. Help get some decor. She keeps asking me, well, what, are you going to make me a quilt?
Well, Mom, eventually.
Yeah, we'll get there. And your
Okay.
kit information for that is 8022141 Snowman Collection. Your pattern is Pinwheel +1, which is in the book Quick and Easy, or also available as an individual.
Now that was very heartwarming and fun. Love it, love it. But let's look at those little surprises that we got for you. We have a tab on our website called Finished Quilts. If you don't have time to sew a quilt, then you might find one of these great gift quilts in that section. So we're going to start off with this one. This is a rendition of Through the Window, one of our patterns, but when moms get a little bit older like mine, she spent a lot of time in her recliner the last couple of years, and she just needed something light to put on top of her. This is the perfect small quilt for either a recliner, or if they happen to be having to spend more time in a wheelchair, it works too. So it's a great little quilt, and you'll find that in the Finished Quilts section. Now next we have one, and this one's just a bright and sunny quilt, and this is a stylized fabric, and for some reason I'm drawing a blank, but I believe this is some type of a Dutch pattern, and if you know what that style is, I hope you'll tell me in the comments. But this is a really fun quilt. It's the Tic Tac quilt, and it is a beautiful quilt to bring some sunshine and joy to your mom's life. Now next up, we have a gorgeous one. This one's called Peace. And this is made from a pattern that was in one of Fran's earlier books. And I love this. It is so gorgeous. And it would be wonderful, again, for the mom, and you can find it on the Finished Quilt section. So that's just a few of the examples of the finished quilts that we have. You see how many models we make every single show, and we have more for you if you want to check that out at fabriccafe.com. Now, if you want to just give your mother something, if she's a quilter, you might choose one of our books or one of our book bundles so that she can have all of our awesome patterns in one place to enjoy. And if you're enjoying our videos, we hope that you will subscribe. And then right next to that's a little bell, and if you click on that bell, it will send you a notification each time we do a new video. So it's Donna Robertson with Fabric Cafe. Thanks for joining us.